Welcome everybody to Lepodcast episode 3, the rerun, because we had some technical issues last time. I am Hoop here with Sainey and the infamous ZZ Huncho, and before I take it away with my icebreaker, we have some exciting news, don't we?
Yes, we do. We don't have the products on hand right now, so we're not officially doing the advertisements yet. But just to let you guys know, the podcast has received its first sponsorship. Everybody, round of applause. Round of applause. We did, in fact, sell our soul to Manscaped. So if you're looking to get satisfying balls, use our code LePodcast for 20% off. It's just the name of the pod. It would help out a lot as some early love shown with our code, because then Manscaped will love to keep us on board long term, which benefits us in the long run. So yeah, we're sponsored by Manscaped now. We'll do some funny commercials once we receive the products. But Hoop, if you want to take it away, start us off.
Yeah, quick disclaimer with the Manscaped stuff. We're not going to show you how it works. So don't ask.
Yeah.
Don't ask. We're just the promoters here. But anyways, I was gone for the last couple of days because I was on a trip to Ohio to pick up a dog. His name's Ryder, Golden Doodle, love him. But on the way there, we passed through the Amish country. I don't know if you guys know what Amish people are, but basically they live like they're in the 1800s.
Right.
Wild stuff, no electricity. And I have a proposal for the NBA, and that's to send out one of their top trainers to the Amish country. Imagine having an Amish guy turn pro. That would be the best thing to ever happen to the NBA since Magic and Bird. Imagine some dude named Abram dropping a cool 40 on Marcus Smart with his wife with a bonnet on courtside and goes home in a horse and buggy. You're telling me that wouldn't be like the most entertaining thing ever?
Yes.
I wonder
yes,
how long it would take for him to transition to Twitter.
No. He can't use Twitter. That's the thing. He's following all the Amish rules. He's just going.
He's just showing up to the games.
He's just going to hoop.
Like, what's he gonna be wearing? What are the shoes gonna be doing? Like,
No. When I went to Ohio, there was an Amish dude working an electric bike rental shop.
Right.
So like, I think he's allowed to wear the uniform because he was wearing like a nice little polo with the logo on it. So I can imagine he could wear the jersey. He could be dripped out.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll put on some
sign a Nike deal.
With some sandals with some traction on them.
Yeah.
But I just love to go see Jeremiah just drop everyone and like have no media presence whatsoever. Like rocking a bowl cut, the whole
awesome.
deal.
That would be awesome.
That would be cold.
Do you think NBA players would like really despise him though, or would they be friends with him?
You would actually be a hater. You would be the biggest hater.
You would be a hater
if you hated him.
That's what I'm saying. Like in today's world, like he would be a hero.
Yes, and he would try to convert a bunch of 11-year-olds to the Amish.
You know what? I'd beg to differ. Hoop. I wouldn't say he would be a hero, but he wouldn't be a villain either. Like he would have no media attention. So I don't think the fans would be
He'd be an outlaw. He'd literally be Batman.
He'd be.
He'd have like a little cheering section of all the dudes in like the top hats and the black suits.
Everybody pulled up on horses.
That's awesome.
I'd love to see a horse. Imagine a horse for a halftime show. Just like Amish. Yeah.
Imagine the trash talk with that old English.
That'd be awesome.
Jolly good shot.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Somebody told me jolly good shot. I'd shoot myself in the foot. It's like I don't know.
Nice try. The instigating would go crazy. Anyways, today's lineup, we have a bunch of segments. We took some out because we don't want this show to go crazy long, but there's a lot to talk about since I was gone during free agency of all the times. So we have LeHeadlines to kick us off, as always. Then What's LePoppin, talking about some trades and free agency. Then we have the Glizzy games, as July 4th is coming up for all you Americans out there. And they have the hot dog eating contest with the goat himself. Well, not ZZ Huncho, we'll say a baby goat and Joey Chestnut. That dude is incredible. He just gets better with age. He's the LeBron of professional eating. So we'll say who we like in the hot dog eating contest if they were NBA players. Next up, we're heading over to a Kevin Durant specific segment in the Toothpick Chronicles. And lastly, a surprise segment, Led Decision, which will be hosted by the infamous. We'll say what that is later. But getting into the headlines, it's been reported that Kyrie Irving is forcing his way to the Lakers, which means that the duo of Kyrie Irving and LeBron James can possibly be reunited. And assuming that a trade would happen, you'd figure that Russell Westbrook would turn into a Brooklyn Net. But it's also been reported that KD and Kyrie would like to stay together. So I want to ask you guys, is it possible that both of those guys can end up in Los Angeles? And would you like that? Z, start with you.
To be honest with you, I think it's definitely possible. We've seen some crazy stuff happen in the offseason before. However, I've been trying to think, would that be entertaining to see Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and LeBron James team up, right? To me, there's pros and cons to it. I think the NBA would be very entertaining to watch because a lot of people, you know how super teams get formed, and everybody, no matter if you love them or you hate the super team, you're going to watch the super team to see them fail or to see them flourish. So I think if you mix KD, Kyrie, and LeBron James in the Western Conference with how they're looking, and I had this discussion with one of my boys the other day, literally 2 days ago. If that happens, and let's say Steph and the Warriors run into them in the playoffs, knock them out, what does that do for a guy like Steph in his rise through the top 10? I mean, he would have beaten Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and LeBron. That's basically Kevin Durant saying, I watched us, I helped you beat these guys, now I'm going to join them and leave you high and dry. Let's see if you can beat all of us together. It's like some Justice League versus like Teen Titans movie or something like that. It's cool because it's just, two established factions going at each other. But I think it'll be entertaining at least. That's my thoughts.
Teen Titans Go was a great show, by the way.
Of course.
Exactly.
It's a great show. All right, Sainey, your thoughts.
Well, Hoop, your original question was, do you think it's possible, right? Do I think it's possible that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving get packaged together to the Los Angeles Lakers? And my answer to that is depends on what drugs the Nets owner is going to be smoking when the time comes, when he gets on a call with Jeannie Buss and they try and work out a package. Because if Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving didn't work for you, not to mention James Harden, okay, in what world makes you think that Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook is a good replacement to that, in which you'll have more success with that duo, right? Like, if you know Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving didn't work, and you experimented with James Harden as well, yes, they had injuries against the Bucks that one year. They should have realistically beat them, but it didn't work. Bringing in, because the only realistic trade package is they're not going to trade LeBron, right? It has to be around Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook. The contracts don't make sense. Like it doesn't make sense to keep either Russ or AD if both of them get packaged. So obviously one of them is gone, especially since Kyrie Irving just opted into his contract. That's like $80 million that the Lakers have to dump out to the Nets in order to bring those guys in, right? So it only makes sense that Russ and AD go in that package. And I genuinely think that would be the worst trade in NBA history. The Nets already have one of the worst trades in NBA history with the whole Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett for basically Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? To do this, literally like 10 years later, ironic as it is, a decade later, to do this trade, it would be I genuinely hope Adam Silver would sit down with the Nets and tell them, you have to relocate, and everybody on this board of directors has to leave. You are fired. You don't get to sell the team. You don't deserve to make any money off this team anymore. You are done. Like, the Nets, I hope to God that they don't package KD and Kyrie to the Lakers, because that would ruin the league. It would ruin their franchise, because the best option for the Nets right now is to dump KD, dump Kyrie somewhere where they can get assets back in return, some draft picks, maybe a young guy, depending on who they trade either of them to, and just start building around that. Because right now, Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, at most, you're going to the play-in. At most. And that's my...
You can't forget about the legend himself, Benjamin Simmons, bro.
And I forgot Ben Simmons is on that team too. Like, imagine Russ and Ben Simmons in the backcourt. And I'm a huge Russell Westbrook fan. What is the percentage of shooting? Like, what is the field goal percentage of that backcourt duo going to be? Like, seriously. And again, I'm the biggest Russell Westbrook fan. Are they going to shoot more than 30% from three together? No. That is going to be a terrible backcourt, like terrible. So no, I don't see it being possible at all. If the Nets have half a brain, they won't even consider it. And I see Kyrie trying to force his way to the Lakers. I have seen that. The Nets owe nothing to Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant. They have done nothing to that franchise but give them problems. So if I'm the Nets, I'm sending them to wherever the hell I want to send them because, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no trade clause on their contracts, right? They don't get a decision. They don't get a say in where they go. So I don't think that – I think Sean Marks is the GM, correct, for the Nets?
Yes.
I think Sean Marks should literally have both Kevin Durant and Kyrie's number blocked while he's trying to find a trade, and he should let them have no opinion on what's going to happen and just ship them out to where you're in a position to rebuild. And in 5 years, hopefully, you're back to being a respectable team because – the transition from the 2018 Nets to the 2022 Nets, is one of the saddest downfalls I've ever seen.
I think considering this is LeHeadlines and talking about LeBron James and all this, you mentioned before that Steph Curry's resume might get bolstered even more if they match up in the playoffs.
I'm talking top 3, dude. I'm talking top 3.
And if you have LeBron, who's still playing at the level he's playing at, people are going to say, oh, he's still in his prime, you know?
Right.
And while he might be still in his prime, it's unfair to judge that on a dude who's like 38. But if he has a prime Kyrie Irving, who's healthy during a playoff series, and a prime Anthony Davis, regardless of how good of a season he's having, people are just going to look back and like, yo, he had AD. And Steph beats him in like 5 games. That looks horrible.
Right.
So I think LeBron's got to be careful. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't care because he already knows his legacy is cemented with people that have a brain.
Right.
But for the sake of the public outlook, the Lakers already have a clown show over there.
Right.
It could become even worse.
You know what, Hoop? I love that you mentioned that, and I love how you mentioned LeBron's age too. And I think it's great to bring up. I know Z said it would be great for Steph's legacy if by some odd chance they meet in the playoffs and Steph beats them, right? If that whole trade goes down. But I love how you mentioned the LeBron thing because I don't think that's a hit to his legacy because the dude is 38. Name one other guy.
Right.
Like this past season he was 37. Name one dude who averaged 30 when he was 37. Right? Like, the guy's just doing incredible things at such an old age that he can literally next season average 5 points per game, and I'll still be like, bro, he's 38. This is expected. Like, at this point,
Reginald could do that with his eyes closed.
Oh my God.
Like, at this point, it's just like LeBron is too old to where, if anything that would have affected his legacy 5 years ago, 6 years ago, doesn't mean anything to me now because I'm like, you know what, this guy's done so much. Everything he does from now on is just a cherry on top. But if we want to move on to the next segment, I think that's enough on the Kyrie, Kevin Durant to Lakers.
Well, we're talking about KD later, but let's get into some what's LePoppin.
All right. So basically for what's LePoppin, we all know we missed a couple of days for recording, and we missed a lot of free agency news. So basically I got a huge list. I didn't take everybody, obviously, because that would be annoying. There's a bunch of role players that we don't really care about on their contracts. I basically just picked out some notable signings that definitely could have an opinion, and I want to hear your guys' opinion on it. And I'm going to start off. This one, Z, you're just going to be like, why this guy mentioned this? I literally mentioned this from my boy Hoop here, all right? The GOAT, Kevin Knox, signs with the Pistons on a 2-year, $6 million deal. Hoop, how do you feel about that?
The reason I hate the move is because I have an Atlanta Hawks Kevin Knox jersey. What do I do with that now?
You got to text Jersey Frost and get a Pistons one now.
That's ridiculous. He's not going to get any minutes over there.
But he got $6 million.
All right.
Good for him. Like, no, honestly, that's more than what I thought he would have got.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him, but at the same time, I think the Pistons are actually building a decent, not win now team.
Right.
But a development, like I think they can win in their development process.
Right.
Alec Burks is a great role player when he's off ball. Nerlens Noel was in the Depoy conversation that one year when they were a 4 seed.
Right.
And he filled in for injured Mitchell Robinson. He was incredible.
Right.
Marvin Bagley looked to step into his own. Jaden Ivey, who knows, maybe he might be a NBA ready player that could be a rookie of the year. Cade Cunningham's going to be an all-star very soon. I think the Pistons are going to be very dangerous.
All right, well, obviously I had to mention Kevin Knox. Z, if I don't know, I'm assuming you don't have any opinion on the Kevin Knox deal, so I feel like we're good to move on to the actual notable signings.
I'll just say one sentence, maybe two. The last time that I saw anything notable about Kevin Knox was when Zion took the ball out of his hand and dunked it and embarrassed him on national television and in front of a live audience. And he's in Detroit now. So yeah, good
Motor
for
City.
Kevin
You know what?
Knox.
Yeah, maybe the
Motor City.
Motor City will do him some justice. But anyway, let's move on. We all know Malik Monk had his little experiment with the Lakers. They got him for a bargain, and it looks like the Lakers have got another guard at a bargain. They signed Lonnie Walker for a 1-year, $6.5 million deal. I'm assuming this is Lonnie Walker's way of having a prove himself year, because we all know if you sign with the Lakers, you're going to get shot attempts. You're going to get minutes because it's a whole mess over there. They're trying anything they can right now. So how do you guys feel about Lonnie to the Lakers?
I mean, it's a decent pickup, but Malik Monk was definitely more polished.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming the reason they let him go is because they couldn't match the pay.
Right.
So they had to pick up some sort of replacement, but I don't think it's... Malik Monk was serious last year.
Right.
And he was, at times, the only person who was trying on the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be a serious hit. But Lonnie Walker, again, you said he needs to have a prove himself year.
Right.
So hopefully he's playing with a chip on his shoulder and get to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's likely going to end up being somebody who excels in his role, or is just another THT or something, KCP, if you will. But
KCP was nice.
Yeah, he was
KCP,
inconsistent, but he had his moments.
Do not act like LeBron James didn't literally almost slap him in the face for not shooting the ball and drilled him like a drill sergeant. Like a drill sergeant went over to him and said, "You gotta shoot, you gotta shoot, you gotta shoot." I'm telling you right now, KCP is what, like 30, 34 maybe? I mean, LeBron yelled at him like he was Bonnie. Or any of his other children. Bro. So after that, he might have picked up some slack a little bit in the finals, but there was like a whole probably a month and a half stretch where he was just dog water. Terrible.
KCP has the ceiling to be a role player on a championship level team. Lonnie Walker has the athleticism, but you need to be a polished shooter and defender to be on a team with that much talent to contribute as a role player. And I think he's just too raw. KCP is refined, and that's why I don't know if you wanted to talk about the Bruce Brown signing for the Nuggets, but I love the Bruce Brown signing and the KCP signing for the Nuggets. I think they are going to be dangerous if they could get like a 90% Jamal Murray back.
Yeah, well, Bruce Brown is getting scratched off the list of players I'm going to talk about. But speaking of the whole Lonnie Walker being Malik Monk's replacement, Malik Monk reunites with De'Aaron Fox at the Sacramento Kings on a 2-year, $19 million deal. Looks like his prove himself year worked out for him. He did get the bag that he wanted. I do think he could have signed for more, honestly. I still think a 2-year, $19 million deal is a bargain, considering the other deals that guys are signing. But, I still like it. What are your guys' 2 cents on the new Sacramento Kings backcourt?
The Kings are making some nice moves. Obviously, they're being real quiet about it. I feel like Keegan Murray was a nice pick, even though I feel like they could have gotten more value at the 4 spot. Malik Monk is a nice addition, but at the end of the day, they're the Sacramento Kings, and no one cares. So, next question. I mean, Z, I don't know if you actually want to talk about them or not, but it's Sacramento.
It's the freaking Kings, dude. It's the Kings.
Nah,
I don't care who goes there. They're all going to be terrible. I don't care.
I will say this.
It is going to be empty stat season next season for the 17th season in a row.
They got a decent team, though. I mean, they're all right.
What are they going to do? Make the play-in for the first time?
It's the Halliburton move that really turned me off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
After that, I was like, they're just trying to lose, so I don't really care.
You know what? They can be a sleeper pick for the playoffs, though. They have definitely built up a respectable 9th seed team. But anyways, let's move on. Gary Payton, the second, or Gary Payton Jr., signs with the Blazers, 3-year, $28 million deal. The guy secured a bag, and I love it. 5 years in the G League, goes to the Warriors, puts on a show, gets injured, comes back, and still makes an impact in the playoffs. Rare to see role players do something like that, and you know what? I love it for him. I love the signing for Portland. They're bringing in some defense in the backcourt. What are your guys' opinion on it?
I think you could go first, C.
GP2. I love GP2. Always have. I thought that he was a piece that the Warriors definitely needed, obviously, defensively. He was one of those guys where you could put him on the floor and he can go guard the best guard on the other team full court, and you wouldn't have a problem with it. At the same time, I think that GP was definitely, if y'all saw his Instagram story, he posted a video of the dude that was laughing getting into the car. which was symbolizing the fact that he had just got the bag. And Warriors fans didn't know whether to be. Warriors fans were sad. I saw in the comments they were sad that they had to let him go, but they knew that they let a good guy go, and they were still happy for him moving forward. I think it's great that GP decided, you know what, hey, I won a championship with Steph. I'm going to go play with his son now, Damian Lillard, if he returns. I don't know. And Anthony Simons is obviously – I love Anthony Simons. I love his game. Portland isn't really building anything, though. They're probably not going to make it I'll give them anywhere between the 7th and the 8th seed. But it's great for GP because he got that bag and he deserved it. He's a great role player, I will say. And he can shoot. He started to be able to shoot a little bit in the playoffs. Saw him in them corner threes. He was sparking them. And he can fly still, hopefully. Yeah, it was his elbow, so he can fly. So, yeah, I think it was a great signing for him, and he got the bag that he deserved. So
I think what's –
Oh, sorry, Hoop, go ahead.
I think what's nice about the Trailblazers, even though Damian Lillard, the best move for his career is to leave, the fact that he's staying, it's nice that the Blazers are making some sort of push to get him some decent help. They re-signed Nurkic, which I think Nurkic is just the definition of mid. But Jeremy Grant was nice to get some wing defense. Anthony Simons, I think, needs to be at an all-star level this year for them to make any sort of noise and for Dame to keep playing with them. I think another year with this team, another 2 years, I think even Dame is going to want to leave. Or at least we should start some sort of petition if nothing happens soon.
Well,
but I think if team defense can carry the Blazers, they have the scoring punch. I think you could see, obviously it's different than the Celtics, but the Celtics have a scoring punch in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but they also have the incredible team defense. And if they could build that kind of culture, Chauncey Billups is an incredible coach, and I think he's extremely underrated. But they have the guys that could get buckets. So I think if it's a team effort to lock down like the Celtics did, Nurkic is going to need to Nurkic needs to magically get better, or they need to find some diamond in the rough from the G League, and he needs to start because Nurkic is mid. But I think they could be decent.
I will say this about Portland, and I'm, by the way, #1 Portland hater. So this is coming from the most unbiased standpoint a man. This is the most unbiased opinion a man can give. Obviously, I'm an Oklahoma fan. But I will say this about Damian Lillard. I will give his flowers. I know, Z, you're saying they might be a 7th to 8th seed. But the one thing about Damian Lillard, and I've seen it time and time again, is that he can will a team to like a 5th, 4th seed. Like the guy, the fact that Portland has Damian Lillard still tells me, you know what, this team could be the surprise team of the NBA next season because literally all they need, like I can guarantee you Damian Lillard will play good. You know what I mean? All they need is Jeremy Grant to show up. Like you said, Simons needs to show up. He just got a bag too, $100 million for 4 years. The guy better show up. I love the Gary Payton trade. They can definitely make some noise in the West. I don't see them going past anything any farther than the second round. Sorry, but you know what? I Hoop, I do like the point you brought up that you know what, Portland recognizes Damian Lillard wants to stay, and I respect the attempts they're making. You know, it's hard to bring in guys to Portland, and for what they've done this offseason, I give Portland an A so far. Like, they have definitely brought in some good pieces. They've done more than I thought they would. Especially, I gave them a lot of backlash on the whole CJ McCollum trade. I think they could have gotten way more, but they're doing a little bit of a bounce back from that, so I will give them their respect. But moving on, I'm not... Oh,
Wait,
sorry.
1 second. For their situation, I know they got a bad draft pick, but they took Dyson Daniels, right? I believe?
Yes?
I believe it was Dyson Daniels. I think they've done a nice job this offseason, and I think Chauncey Billups can be next year's Ime Udoka, where he just rises to relevance. And I think Chauncey's going to be an elite coach
for the
next 20 years. Dope. Like I've listened to multiple podcasts with either him on it or talking about Chauncey's on-court like coaching ability.
Right.
I really like him.
No, he's definitely a dope player and a dope coach. He will be one for sure. I'm not going to go into details about the guys' contract numbers. You should all assume that these are all max contract guys, $200 million plus, basically. I'm just going to name off the names of guys that re-signed. I don't want to like stretch this out too long. You guys just give it your major opinion on the one you don't really agree with or who you think got overpaid. But anyway, I'm just going to give you guys the names: Bradley Beal, Karl Anthony Towns, John Morant, Devin Booker, Nikola Jokic, Zion Williamson, Zach LaVine. And yeah, that's all. So far, those are the guys that have re-signed with their team on like supermax contracts. All of those guys I just named got $200 million plus, with Jokic signing the largest contract in NBA history, $264 million. definitely deserved, but inflation with the NBA too, it's going to be normal seeing that as time goes on. I think the record of largest contract will be broken like once every 2 years, so I don't think that people should freak out over stuff like that. But I'll go first with the contract I don't really agree with. I don't agree with Bradley Beal getting a supermax with the Wizards. I don't see what the Wizards are doing with that. I understand they want to have some sort of relevance, but they're not going to win with Bradley Beal. I'm sorry. I don't see them making any major moves that make them a contender like that. And to put 5 years commitment on Bradley Beal, I know they're probably going to want to trade him, but as he gets older, his value is just going to go down. He's going to turn into a Russell Westbrook type value player where he's just an old guy making $50 million a year, and he's not bringing the same value as he did in previous years as to why he earned the contract. Do I think he's a $250 million player right now? No, but he definitely is, an all-star. And I understand that the small market teams like that are willing to give any player that can perform a contract like that, because that's how small market teams get their players, right? But Bradley Beal is the one I don't really agree with. I think the Wizards should have let him walk, or I think they should have done like a sign and trade type deal. But I don't know. You guys can give your opinion on anyone else you don't agree with.
Let me ask you all this question because it just popped in my head. So who all time is a better Wizard? Is it John Wall or is it Bradley Beal?
Between those two, or can we throw other names in there?
I'm saying between those two, because this is how I'm looking at the whole situation, right? Bradley Beal, when I saw that, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever he did it, when I saw it, I was like, Bradley is not an idiot. He's just a loser. And he just wants to lose and lose and lose and lose. But it's okay because, post his career, like after he's retired, he'll be swimming in money. But, I mean, it's sad to see because Bradley Beal is very talented, very, very talented scorer. So he could be on any type of contender. A lot of teams would have been able to use him. But the reason I tried to compare it to John Wall was because I thought Bradley Beal, as soon as John Wall had dipped up out of Washington, he would have been gone within at least 2 seasons after that. But he's still been there. We've seen Bradley Beal with Russell Westbrook since then, and now we're going to see him for give or take maybe 5 more years. But the Wizards being as a franchise, they're not prominent at all. So the room to rise up on the totem pole is there. So I guess would Bradley Beal be better all time than John Wall because he's been there longer? I mean, I can see a case for that. I can see a case for that. It's more of a longevity thing because John Wall didn't win anything. I want to know. What do y'all think?
I think if John Wall, let's say if he never had the injury and he was playing with Bradley Beal as he emerged into his prime, I think John Wall's the better player. I think he's a top 5 passer in the league. Obviously, the assist numbers show up, but he just has that kind of vision. The athleticism would still be there for the most part. I would assume some sort of Russell Westbrook progression where he still has it. And Bradley Beal is a nobody off the ball.
Right.
At all. I've seen the Knicks play the Wizards multiple times where he could go for 12 points straight, or he could just let things happen. And there's just not he's not a, what do you call it, like a heliocentric player. You know what I mean?
He's not a winner.
Yeah. But I know there was a clip going around of him coaching one of his youth
Oh
teams.
my, yeah.
And he's talking about you got to accept your role. You're never going to win at the highest level. And I don't know what's going on behind the scenes there. If he has family in Washington, he wants to stay there, whatever it is. But it's just a little ironic that
he might be running
to
for
throw up his
mayor.
Numbers.
Real quick, we're still running. The episode's still good and everything, but my camera just died, so you guys are going to see a camera change from my regular camera to my computer camera. My apologies. My camera should have been charged more. I don't know why it wasn't, but that's why you guys saw a black screen on my camera for a bit, but no worries there. I'm sorry, continue.
This is what actually happened was Sainey got abducted when the lights went out, and this is his evil twin.
Bradley Beal came in with his hands around his neck. He wanted to stop the pod because we were talking dirt in his name. Anyways, let's head over to the next player because we gotta run through. If there is another player.
That's all for me. I wanted to go through the trades. It's up to if you guys want to start talking about the trades now.
I want to talk about Jalen Brunson for a half second. People are talking dirt on Jalen Brunson. I think he's like the 14th highest paid point guard. And I saw a clip on TikTok saying, there's 15 guys better than Jalen Brunson at the point guard position. Well, you got to overpay in free agency. And by the time his contract is up, there's going to be like 25 point guards paid higher than Jalen Brunson. And the fact of the matter is, the Knicks have money. So if it was any other team, and the Knicks just get all the negative media attention. Right. If it was any other team signing Jalen Brunson at that amount, if it was the Mavericks, it would be like, it's an overpay for like 10 seconds, and then everyone would forget about it. But I think it's a nice developmental piece in the fact that he's going to still develop along with the rest of he fits the timeline, but he's also going to be the guy putting the ball in their hands instead of point guard Alec Burks. So that was my little rant, but that's Jalen Brunson for you. I like the deal.
I know we've kind of stretched out the whole What's LePoppin segment. We can do a rundown of the trades real quick if you guys want. I think we could just talk about the biggest one, the Rudy Gobert one, and move on. The Malcolm Brogdon one and the Kevin Huerter one. It's like
we have Durant later, so let's just go through Gobert quick.
Yeah, Gobert quickly. Gobert got traded to the Wolves for Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverley, Walker Kessler. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and Jared Vanderbilt. And Leonardo Bolmaro. And 4 first-round picks, unprotected in 2023, 2025, 2027, and one of them top 5 protected in 2029, and a first-round pick swap in 2026. So a lot given up for Rudy Gobert. In my opinion, the Jazz won that trade. They took a lot from a team that didn't need another franchise center. I think the Wolves could have made a run for Kevin Durant with that many draft picks, maybe throw in a better player. Like a D'Lo or something. Send D'Lo back to the Nets. But
the only thing I want to say, well, I do think the Jazz won the trade because I think their rebuild got boosted by getting a guy like Pat Bev to bring the culture.
Right.
Jared Vanderbilt is a very good young player. Got a lot of picks. Still have Donovan Mitchell. Maybe they want to use that to give him another star if they just want to turn the team around that quickly, or they ship him off, take a couple of years to do a natural rebuild. But it feels like a weird fit to get Gobert and Cat next to each other, and we teased this earlier. I think it's probably not going to happen, but a lot of people were saying that the Nets should get Rudy Gobert. Maybe.
For who though?
If you could pick up what I'm putting down, I can't imagine.
Kyrie's the only.
I can't imagine KD on the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
If it's Sean Marks making the deal,
yeah,
and he wants Rudy Gobert and some young talent, I don't see why that's impossible.
I mean,
I'm just throwing it out there.
I don't see. I see Rudy Gobert staying with the Wolves this season. I'm not gonna lie. I don't see them moving him again. I think they're gonna experiment the whole. I see people calling them the Twin Towers.
I just think it's gonna look whack on the court.
Yeah, I don't like it.
The only thing that I wanted to say about this trade was obviously it's stupid. It's dumb. It doesn't make any sense unless they're going to do 4 out, 1 in and make Cat really shoot the 3-pointer like you know what I'm saying, and keep Rudy in there. This is the funniest trade though. It's so funny. It's the funniest one of the offseason because y'all know for a fact that after that play-in game with Minnesota, and Patrick Beverley was out there acting as if they just won Game 7 of the NBA Finals for Minnesota. All that emotion, throwing his freaking jersey out into the crowd. Literally, for less than 3 months later, for them to trade him for Rudy Gobert. They traded him for something that they already had. Like, what? Oh, my God. Justice for Patrick Beverley. # make it trend. Please, get him on a team that respects a player like that can go out there and average 9 points a game, just like a mini Draymond, just less impactful and a little bit more rambunctious, but still, put him on a franchise that loves Patrick Beverley. Because so far in the past 4 years, I've thought to myself, you know who really loves Patrick Beverley? Clippers fans. And then he shipped him off to Minnesota. You know who really loves Patrick Beverley now? Minnesota fans. And now they shipped him over to, where is he going to go?
I'm going to make a prediction here for Patrick Beverley, and you can quote me on this, and I hope to come back and clip this so that people can say, wow, Sainey was so right. The Jazz are going to buy him out, and the guy's going to sign with the Lakers. I can see Patrick Beverley signing with the Lakers after a buyout with the Utah Jazz. Pat Bev has time and time again said he wants to play with LeBron. The guy is down to play with LeBron James, and if he were to get bought out by the Jazz, I feel like the Lakers are his destination.
I feel like, let's say if Russ stays there.
No, but they'll put beef aside. They'll put beef aside.
No, they won't.
Man. I don't know, man.
They'll put beef aside.
Because Pat Bev, he sticks to his guns. And when you see Anthony Davis sitting out because his pinky toe hurts, I feel like he's not going to hold back.
All right.
And maybe that's what they need, but I think that's why they brought in their new coach.
We should
we gotta
probably
get in.
we should probably
to
move
the
on to
new
the next segment here.
All right. Yeah, so for all my Americans out there, July 4th is coming up. It's July 2nd right now, so Monday's the day. And on July 4th, they always have the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, where Joey Chestnut throws down like 80 dogs in 10 minutes, I believe, which is ridiculous. If you call that a sport, he might be better than LeBron. I'm just saying. I don't think that's crazy. But anyways, we want to throw some NBA players in the contest. So we're going to have like a mini draft, just real quick, 3 players, of who we think can throw down the most glizzies.
Let's do the draft. Who gets
Let's
first
do the
pick, though?
draft. Let's do Sainey, Z, me, but then we'll go Snake.
Okay, I like that. Well, thank God Hoop gave me the first pick because I already win. With the first pick in the 2022 Glizzy Gobbling draft, I would like to draft Zion Williamson, of course.
Figured that was the first pick.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, easy pick right there. Hoop. Who's second, Z or Hoop?
It's Z.
All right, Z, if you want to go with your pick.
For the first pick in the 2022 Glizzy Games draft,
Second.
Team selects Hefty Harden from Philadelphia.
Who?
Hefty Harden.
Hefty Harden. You know,
Hefty Harden.
You know who he is?
Yeah, of course.
I feel like there's a lot of jokes flying around about NBA players being fat or whatever, so I'm going for some sleepers. I think Robin Lopez can throw down some dogs.
That was one of my 100%.
Picks. He would put his hair up in like a ponytail and just go crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
I agree with that. You got another pick,
I also did my research, so my second pick, I'm actually taking Kyle Kuzma. It said that when he was on a food TV show, he ate more than 100 dumplings in 3 days.
Yo.
That's the kind of determination I want. So I'm taking Kyle Kuzma.
For my second pick in the 2022 Glizzy Games draft, Team Huncho selects Nikola Jokic for obvious reasons. I'm just gonna say it like he looks like Gibby from iCarly, so I had no choice.
I get 2 picks back to back, right?
Correct.
Okay, so for my second pick, this is a sleeper pick. I'm gonna take Steven Adams.
Word.
Great choice. He's the most physical player in the NBA for a good reason. Okay, the guy gets his protein in. All right, and I'm sure as hell if I put 50 glizzies in front of Steven, he's eating them glizzies. The guy's a glizzy. The guy's a natural glizzy gobbler. All right.
Pause.
And for my last pick, I mentioned this to you guys. I got a sleeper pick, and I'm so confident that none of you would have thought of him. I could use him as my last pick. And for my last pick, and I can't believe you guys haven't thought of him yet. He always posts on Instagram these huge mukbangs. He eats by himself. The guy spams food on his Instagram. Enes Kanter. I am taking Enes Kanter. The guy eats like a madman. I don't know if you guys have seen the stuff Enes Kanter be posting, but the guy can eat a meal. And if I put him 2 minutes left on the clock, we need at least 10 more glizzies in our mouths. I can tell you right now, Enes Kanter, stomach full, will put those glizzies in his mouth.
Considering it's July 4th, I think Enes Freedom is the guy you want.
Enes Freedom. My apologies. I forgot he changed his last name. Enes Freedom.
Am I last pick?
I get the last pick, but you go next.
Okay, perfecto. So this is my final pick. And I'm kind of taking some inspiration from what Sainey just said. I got to think about guys who, you can just think of them, and then you think of the word glizzy, and you just put them together. So, pause. My last pick is the one, the only, one of the most dominant, and was left off of the top 75 list all time. You guys know him. You guys know him.
God.
He knows a few people. He's been around a few teams. He's played with Hefty Harden before. He's played with LeBron James. He's probably played with some glizzies. But I'm saying I would rather, for my final pick, the one, the only, Dwight Howard.
Great pick. Great pick.
I was thinking Blake Griffin at first, because I know. But great selection. So I'm kind of going on the fly here, because I know we were just talking about Pat Bev, and his competitive spirit.
Oh my god.
But I think just at a point you got to understand, like, your stomach's only so big, and Pat Bev
Right.
is not as
He's a
big
pit
as
bull.
my next selection. I'm taking Serge Ibaka.
Oh, that's a
That
good
dude-
pick.
That's
He's
a good
cook.
pick.
That's a good pick.
I think he's got the
I didn't even think about
experience. Big dude, lot of protein.
What?
He can throw down some dogs.
Wait. Sandy, did you just say think about that and then look off in the distance?
I know. I said I didn't even think about that.
Oh,
Like,
all right.
I didn't think
all
about
right,
Ibaka.
cool.
I didn't
was
think.
about to throw out
Whoa,
two
whoa, whoa,
balls
whoa,
and
whoa, whoa,
stop.
whoa, 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 whoa. All right. Anyway, that was a fun
Deal of the
little game.
draft.
But
I think Dwight Howard was great.
that was a great little segment. But I feel like we should move on because we are running out of time here. Z, if you want to introduce us to our last segment.
Oh, well, today we are going to be talking about big news. Over the course of the last 48 hours, Kevin Durant has added to his greatness, debatable, by requesting a trade from the Brooklyn Nets a couple of days after Kyrie Irving opted in. And now we're looking at the chronicles of the emotional toothpick himself, the Slim Reaper, the 7-foot assassin. And we're trying to figure out if he has damaged his legacy at all, which we may all be on the same page on that one, or if he's just added to it, because the teams that he's preferred when he requested the trade consisted of the Phoenix Suns, the Miami Heat, and now, as Hoop has told you guys, maybe KD and Kyrie to LA. So, with all that being said, where will Kevin Durant end up, and what are you guys' thoughts on this? We're going to start off with Hoopology himself.
Kevin Durant came out and said that he wanted to go to Miami only if he could play with Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo, which I'm feeling like he just came up with his plan overnight. And it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. He couldn't sleep. I was like, man, I want to go to Miami. And he just had this situation in his head, not thinking about the logistics of it. Because if Rudy is going for 5 first, what is KD going for? They're gonna have to give him the practice facility.
He's going for the whole draft.
Like that's ridiculous. I think KD is gonna stay right where he is in Brooklyn. And Kyrie Irving might move, but I think if they get something decent in return, KD would stay. But I think there's a very good chance that KD and Kyrie are still in Brooklyn, and nothing happens of this.
Well, people are gonna think I'm hating on this just because I'm an Oklahoma fan, and obviously I hate Kevin Durant. I'm not gonna say I hate him on the court. I don't know what he's like off the court, obviously, but I'm going to give a real reason why I don't like this for Kevin Durant. Obviously, the obvious factor is that, he's requesting a trade to the 2 number 1 seeds. It makes no sense. But let me give you guys a quick rundown of Kevin Durant's time in Brooklyn. All right, his first season, when he first signs in 2019, we all know he's coming off an Achilles injury. He doesn't play one game that whole season, and Brooklyn is aware that he's going to be injured the whole season. So Brooklyn brings in Kevin Durant and pays him to sit on the bench for a whole season, right? Brooklyn paid the guy to not play one game for them because they were so confident in him and they wanted him to be the next franchise player. Kevin Durant then goes on that same offseason to urge them to bring Kyrie Irving on. He's the main reason Kyrie Irving is on that team, and we all know what Kyrie has done to the Brooklyn Nets. Being, fair enough to say that COVID didn't happen and Kevin Durant wasn't aware of Kyrie doing this whole spiritual stuff and not showing up to games and whatnot, but he is the main reason that Kyrie Irving is there. He is the main reason why a lot of those problems happened. Kyrie Irving is, not Durant. But people also forget that Durant was also a major factor on the Brooklyn Nets bringing in DeAndre Jordan in for $40 million. And we all know how that worked out. So Brooklyn clearly invested all of their time, all of their trust into Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant made them do a bunch of things for him. He made them build a team around them. Then he goes on to only play 90 games for the Brooklyn Nets. He only played 90 games in the 3 seasons he was there. Yeah, I get it. He was injured for the first season, but still, for 3 years, however many millions he's gotten from them, and what he's done for them, to only get 90 games, I would be pretty pissed if I was the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving, the guy he brought on, is the main reason why James Harden left. Kyrie Irving is the reason that James Harden got pushed out of Brooklyn, right? So Kevin Durant comes into Brooklyn, causes all these problems. It was like a whole domino effect of Brooklyn's downfall. And at the end of it, he's like, I want to leave. You guys are a shit show. And it's like, yeah, it's terrible over there because of you. If you look at every move the Brooklyn Nets have done since Kevin Durant came, every single move was made for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was the main guy behind it. Kevin Durant, God knows why he thought DeAndre Jordan was worth $40 million. He picked Kyrie Irving over James Harden. Kyrie's the one who pushed James Harden out of Brooklyn. James Harden was 110% in the right to demand a trade. I know people were like, oh, you couldn't make it work in Brooklyn with that big 3. I don't think anybody was going to make it work in Brooklyn with the whole situation they were going with. And to now come out and demand a trade to either Phoenix or Miami, it is pathetic. It is pathetic. As an NBA superstar, as somebody who, in my opinion, has the talent to be a top 10, top 20 player of all time when we really talk about it, I can't put him there. I can't put him in my top 10, top 20 list, whatever all-time ranking, because of things like this. The guy is the opposite of Damian Lillard. He is allergic to the grind. He doesn't want to earn anything, it seems like. And that's the main reason why I don't like... If you just demanded a trade, I would be like, yeah, whatever. Like, I get it. It didn't work out. But to say I want to go to Phoenix or Miami, pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. But, I mean...
See, here's the thing. I was agreeing with everything you said, Sainey, up until the top. At least he's got to be in your top 20. I just...
Like...
I mean,
it would be in the lesser half. It would be in like near like 17, 18, 19, or 20 for me. Like,
see, for me, I had him at 14, and then I had Steph at 13 up until the point where Steph just went on this historical finals run, and now he's top 10. But for me, when I look at KD, I will agree with you, Sadie. It is getting harder and harder for me to defend him because when KD went to Golden State, I was obviously a little, bamboozled. Discombobulated and just felt like a buffool of an NBA fan. But I was like, I got to try and see a positive in this because I was like, the Warriors are going to play some beautiful basketball, which they did. I enjoyed watching that Warriors team just play basketball. It just looked fun, right? But when KD left, I was like, what is he doing? I don't know why the NBA fans and the media tried to spin the narrative and say, oh, they need him. They're not going to win ever again without him, which is stupid. Right. All of you who ever said that, slap yourselves in the face. As a matter of fact, go outside, go to a tree, climb to the first branch, and then jump off the first branch. Not anything higher. I don't want you to hurt yourselves. Well, I do, but not that bad. Because that's a stupid thing to say. The Golden State Warriors had a foundation built that was built around Steph. But Steph wasn't demanding them to do the things that Sainey was saying KD was demanding the Nets to do. KD was literally just like, I'm here now. I got to drop. I got to do these things. And it bothers me. It bothers me a lot that we're here now. And Phoenix and Miami were the two teams in which he specifically wanted to go to. So all I'm going to say is I still have the top 14, but I'm not throwing him out of my top 20 just because of some off-season moves or anything like that.
Yeah, I think KD's got to be top 16 all-time, like, undebatably. But I know you're an OKC fan, so that's hard to see.
I'll put him in my top 20 for sure. But it's like when you really dig deep into it and look at the offs, like he didn't like what has he like in Oklahoma? He got that MVP, right? He took them to a finals. He did have some sick runs in Oklahoma. He definitely was a crucial part in the rings. I'm not saying he didn't earn any of the rings, but let's be honest. You add any all-star level player to that 73-9 Warriors team, they were going to go back to the finals without him anyway. You keep Harrison Barnes on that team, they're going back to the finals, and most likely they're going to beat that Cavs team in 2017. Okay, let's be honest here. The 2016 Cavs won because of Draymond's Game 5 suspension, right? That to me, that set the Warriors off for the rest of the series because it gave LeBron and Kyrie a chance to just absolutely go off, right? But let's be honest here. Like, if you really dig deep and look into, like, the legacy of other guys, Kevin Durant is, like, top 20 for me, but I wouldn't put him in the top 15, top 16.
All right, so I think we're going to push Lead Decision to another episode since we're running out of time, if that's all right. But we'd love to get to... Well, I would love to say let's get to the closing, but I know it's not much of a secret anymore.
Sainey's secret segment. I'll make this quick for you guys.
Segment.
It was a question I was thinking to myself, and I wanted to ask you guys, and I'm surprised nobody's talking about it. We all know that whole thing with Klay Thompson getting snubbed off the top 75 list, right? I think he should have been there beforehand, but now that he won this fourth ring, does this solidify him as a top 75 NBA player? This fourth ring, because remember, they kicked him out, or they snubbed him before he won this fourth ring, before he came back, and he was a crucial part to the Warriors winning. So now that he has this fourth ring, I mean, I think it's a obvious answer. He deserves to be in the top 75, but what do you guys think about this?
No, I don't think Klay Thompson... I don't act like that. I defend Klay Thompson a lot. People saying he's a role player. Klay Thompson's role is to pop champagne. He's not a regular role player. He's a superstar in his role, which means, I mean, the connotation of role player is that you're not as important as the other guy. I think Klay Thompson is very important. But with that being said, I don't think he's top 75. I mean, the legacy really, I understand how it pushes that narrative, but if Dwight Howard clears, like there's a bunch of guys, like Tracy McGrady, I believe, was left off. Was Tracy McGrady left off?
He was.
Like Clay. I think Clay Thompson is like in the 80s.
I don't have a problem with Klay Thompson being top 75 for a few reasons. Those reasons consist of the fact that he is a part of the greatest shooting backcourt in NBA history. He is, when Klay Thompson is hot, he's probably like a top 3 most dangerous player to be left hot.
He's the greatest catch and shoot player of all time as well.
Greatest catch and shoot player I've seen since Ray Allen. I think you can make a debate for it. But in terms of, I think his case for top 75 you can look at it bigger than Tracy McGrady's, because McGrady retired at 32. McGrady did a lot of great things, but he never could win. And, most of the times it wasn't his fault. Although 2001 he did blow a 3-1 lead, but whatever. So did Clay. But Klay Thompson, I just think he has that. Like, when we're going to talk about the top 5 best shooters of all time, and with the way that the game has evolved since Steph has stepped onto the scene and the Warriors, and now people are shooting threes and all these things, I mean, he's a top 5, top 4 greatest shooter ever. Not top 1.
Top 3.
And you can say top 3. I personally have him.
Yeah, like he's
undebatably
top 3, debatably top 2.
He's broken the 3-point record. He's broken the record for most points in a quarter. I mean, just like
60 points on like 11 dribbles. 60 points on 11 dribbles. Bro, and you got to remember, there's a lot of players that, like, in the NBA top 50 list that they decided not to leave out just because they were already in the top 50 list that don't deserve to be there anymore.
I can understand if Dennis Rodman's on that list, you got to include Clay and probably Draymond too, because I think Draymond is just as vital.
Like when you really think about it, and the things that Klay Thompson has done, the records he's broken, he is a top 75 NBA player.
I don't think talent-wise, as like a strictly
this is legacy-wise.
I understand we're including legacy, and for that reason, he should be top 75.
Before we end off the segment, I know we need to leave. I'll leave you with this, Hoop, just to think about. LeBron is a better player than Michael Jordan in terms of talent, but the reason there's a debate is because of the legacy. When we're talking NBA players, bro, LeBron is a better. Who are you taking, LeBron or Jordan? As an NBA, as a basketball player, who are you taking, LeBron or Jordan?
Well, you got to understand that. I mean, if you want to say errors aside, it's LeBron. But I think Jordan, and I think LeBron's the GOAT. But Jordan, his scoring records.
Oh, amazing! I'm not trashing on Jordan here, but I think there's a
talent-wise. Obviously, the new guy is going to be better. I think LeBron's the better player. But I understand where you're coming from.
Right, exactly. But it's about like with the top 75 list, it's about legacy too. Like that plays a huge factor in it. Like obviously, Tracy McGrady is way better as a basketball player than Klay Thompson, but Klay Thompson's career is much more glorified and better.
They have Dave DeBusschere, but not Tracy McGrady.
Yeah, seriously.
That's a sin.
But this was a great episode. This was more of a lengthy one. I know. I'm sorry for the camera issues. You guys are gonna see a black screen for like 2 minutes of the video. It's on me. But yeah, I mean, good episode, good way. I don't know if you guys want to have a funny way to wrap it up, but
I gotta go.
Yeah, I just want to do my Jamal Murray thing. That's it.
All right, man. This
give
episode.
Me the cue.
This episode was a little more serious, but I mean, there was more serious things to talk about. We'll catch you guys in episode 4.